Hello friends, welcome back to my channel Mukesh English, and this is your favorite YouTuber Mukesh Soni. Friends, in this video we are going to summarize a famous short story or famous story written by Rabindranath Tagore, the famous writer, composer, social reformer, and the title of the story is here, When Wishes Come True. This story is in the syllabus of first semester BA General English under Bangalore University, and this story has been given in the new syllabus, that is the SCP syllabus from the year 2024. So before we try to summarize or analyze the story, we should try to see some questions, and these questions will try to get those questions answers at the end of the story. First question we have here: have you ever wished that you could be someone else for a day? Do you think being a child is easier than being an adult? Why do you think people sometimes want to change their lives? Do you think children often wish for freedom while adults wish for less responsibility? What would you do if you could be a child again for a day? Do you think getting everything we wish for is always a good thing? What do you think could happen if someone's wishes were granted without thinking about the consequences? What do you think is more important for happiness? Is freedom or responsibility? So, dear friends, when we go through the story, then only we'll come to know the answers of these questions. So, we'll try to find out these questions' answers only after the analysis of the story or after the summary of the story. So, let's begin the story with this introduction here. When Wishes Come True is a famous short story by Rabindranath Tagore. Is very humorous, thought-provoking story about a father and his son who both wish to experience each other's life. Subal Chandra is a father who wishes that he could return to his childhood and study properly. The story highlights the importance of accepting one's own life and responsibilities, and how getting everything we wish for may not always lead to happiness. So let's find out the characters in the story. The story revolves around a father, that is Subal Chandra, and his son Sushil Chandra. So there are two characters. One is father, his name is here Subal Chandra, and son Sushil Chandra. Subal's name means strong, but in reality, he is very frail and he suffers from rheumatism. Sushil's name is here, Sushil's name is to say the well behaved, but here the son Sushil is quite opposite to the meaning of his name. He is very mischievous and always annoying the neighbors with his pranks. So, despite their names, their personalities do not quite match. So this is a very brief glance about these two characters, Father Subal Chandra and his son Sushil Chandra. So now let's begin the story. So it's Saturday and Sushil doesn't want to go to school because he has a geography test, and he's very excited about a fireworks show which is going to happen at Boss house. Boss, one of the neighbors. To avoid going to school, Sushil, he pretends to have stomach ache and he stays in bed. Subal, his father, immediately he sees through the lie as he knows his son is making up the excuses. So Subal decides to teach Sushil a kind of a lesson. So let us see what Subal does here. Subal tells Sushil that since he is pretending to be sick, so he must stay home all the day. And he locks Sushil in his room, and he tells him that he can't go to fireworks show, or he cannot have the toffees which he brought for his son Sushil. Subal also prepares a bitter medicine for Sushil's fake tummy ache and insists him that Sushil should consume this medicine. So that's a punishment is decided here. So what Sushil does? Sushil loves toffees and he hates bitter medicine, so he becomes very desperate. Sushil tries to pretend his tummy ache is better now and he says, "Now I want to go to school." And his father refuses him to let him leave the room. Sushil is locked in and begins to cry, wishing he were as old as his father so that he could do whatever he wanted. So when Sushil is locked in the room, he started crying and he wished, if I would have been like my father, I would have been able to do whatever I wanted to do. That's a Sushil wish. So now what happens here? Subal. So outside, Subal reflects on his own childhood. He thinks that his parents spoiled him. That's why he didn't get a good education. He wishes that if he could be a child again, he would really study seriously and not waste time. So that is a father's wish. So finally, the Lady of Wishes, the goddess, the Lady of Wishes, overhears both Subal and Sushil, and he decides to make their wishes come true. So Subal, as a father, he thinks that I should become a child, and I want to study again, or I want to get an education. Sushil imagines that if he would have been an elder person, he would do whatever he wanted to do. So the Lady of the Wishes, she has heard this kind of wish from these both the persons, and she has come here to make the wishes come true. She tells Subal that tomorrow he will be as young as his son, and she tells Sushil that tomorrow he will become as old as his father. So let us see what happens further. The next morning, both Subal and Sushil wake up to find that their wishes have come true. Subal now has become a young boy, jumps out of the bed excitedly. He has lost his beard and mustache. His clothes are too big and he feels young again. Who? Subal. Sushil, on the other hand, has grown old overnight. His clothes have torn because he's much bigger and he's now covered in grey stubble and has no hair left. He doesn't feel like getting up at all because he has become an old man now, right? Like his father. So Sushil now in his elderly body begins to regret his wish. He had always imagined that being free like his father would mean he could do anything he wanted, like climbing the trees, eating whatever he liked, and be just carefree. However, now that he's old, he doesn't feel like doing anything he wanted to do it. He even fears catching a cold or becoming sick. So instead of playing, he sits on a mat and he thinks quietly. So Sushil, the son, Sushil eventually decides to try climbing a tree, just as he had imagined doing when he was a child. But when he grabs a thin branch, it breaks and he falls to the ground. People laugh at him, calling him an old man trying to play childish pranks. Embarrassed, he returns to the porch, the place at home, covered place, where he orders his servant to buy him a rupee's worth of toffees, something he had always wanted to do as a child. Because Sushil has become an old man now. So he calls the servant, please get 1 rupees toffee, because that was his wish as a child to have it. So what happens to Subal? Sushil eats the toffee, but they don't bring him any joy. He realizes that being old does not make the things he used to love appealing anymore. So, being an old person, he's unable to enjoy what he really wanted to do. He thinks of giving the toffees to his younger self, but he decides against it, worrying they might make him sick. So, he doesn't eat more. Now, here Subal, who has become a boy, he is forced to go to school by his father Sushil, because now the vice versa role is getting played. Subal, who thought being a child meant playing and having fun, quickly grows bored of school. He gets bored of school. Boring. He tries to pretend as he has some tummy ache to avoid studying, just like his father used to do. He starts complaining about the homework and he would like to be free again. So this is how both father and son, they are getting the very reverse experience, father as a son and son as a father. Now, when Subal is finally free and Subal tries to enjoy his childhood, but instead of playing, he finds himself getting scolded by Sushil to study and to do the sums. Sushil also forces Subal to sit quietly while he reads aloud from the Ramayana, irritating Subal, who only wants to play. So both of them, they would like to live their new life, but they are unable to do. So, as both father and son they go through the transformations, they begin to feel uncomfortable in the new roles. Subal, despite being young again, he is forced to study. Sushil, despite being free, he is weighed down by the limitations of old age. He can't play. Sushil gets irritated by the other children, and Subal finds the gatherings of the old man very, very boring. Both of them wish they could go back to being their own original selves. Both of them thinks that we just want to go back to our own original life. So she'll thinks that let me become as a child. And Subal thinks that let me become as a father. So they got an experience now. So what happens? The Lady of Wishes, the goddess, returns to check if both father and son have had enough of the transformed lives. Both father and son, now tired of the new experiences, they beg her to reverse their wishes and return them to their original states. So, further, the lady grants their request, and next morning, Subal wakes up as an old man again as a father, and Sushil returns to his childhood as a son. They both forget about the strange transformation as if it was all a dream. Subal asks Sushil if he will start learning his grammar. Sushil, scratching his head, replies that he has lost his book. Very nice. So, what's the conclusion, my dear friends? This is how the story ends here. The conclusion is here. The story ends with both father and son back in their usual roles and they resume their everyday lives with Sushil still not wanting to study, Subal still trying to teach his son. The story highlights a lesson that getting what we wish for may not always bring the happiness we expect, and that each phase of life has its own challenges and joys. It also teaches the importance of accepting and appreciating what we have rather than longing or desiring for something else. So, this is how the story when wishes come true, we have tried to summarize, we have tried to analyze. Hope you have liked this video. Click on the like button, write in the comment box. If you have not yet subscribed my channel, please do subscribe. I have completed all the lessons summary of the first semester BA General English. Just look into the description box or in the playlist, you will get all the lesson summary. And also subscribe the channel. And if you have any questions, any queries, you can reach me at mukeshenglish@gmail.com. Thank you so much for watching this video. You stay connected with Mukesh English.